Okay, we have Oriel here, who's got a great smile. And Benjie's not got red pants on today, at least. Benjie's making a forma, they call it, to make a ornamental molding. And Oriel's putting together concrete forms. He's in the middle of this one here. This one's around 7 feet long. When they get done, they'll look like this. Oh, better back up. Yes, we're shaking the camera. And there's 4 of each of a lot of these, so they're all stacked up around here. These are for the corners, dirty kitchen, septic tank, cistern, tilapia pond. Still got to paint the edges of this phenolic board before we use them. He's working on the match to one over here against the wall, which has got the 2x3s on the back already. Here's some more that are done. There's a list of materials with the prices for everything used in the forms except the screws, because we just use those over and over and over again. And when we get done with these forms, we'll steal the screws out of them. So he's working on that one, and there's that'll make the second one of a set. And then there's one here that's drilled, got holes drilled in it. And it has to have the stuff put on the back of it too. And this is our roller. It's set to roll 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch key stock right now, the rolls that are in it. I can't remember if I made those rollers or they came with it. I did make a bunch of rollers, but I know all the pipe rollers came with it. And I'm kind of thinking those came with it. I lost the piece here that had the axle on it, so that's homemade. It's got a wheel off of a pedicab and a 3/4 inch bolt stuck through it, welded on the end, keep it from falling out. We still have wires hanging out every place. There's about 2.5 miles of them in the pipe that's not connected. Let me pause and go downstairs and we'll take a look at Okay, what we got here is a 8.5 by 11 piece of printer paper. It's showing an island on here. I don't think we named the islands on these, but that's Luzon, Mindoro. There's not enough left of it, but I guess it's Ilo. Anyway, he's having to use where the intersections show on the print to match it up to the parts. And he's got a piece of flat bar marked off on like a measuring tool here and there. And they do remarkably well at making the picture match the artwork. Or the artwork matches the picture, actually. And this is our resident welder. Name's Boy. Boy has steel-toe shoes. We have a 15 amp electric service. Powered it off a house next door. We borrow electricity for paying for the electric bill. Believe it or not, that's rated at like 380 amps. And that's at like 12 volts. Must be some monster capacitors in there. Over there is a stack of island artwork. Now that one, there was a lot of ocean around it. been able to get more than one island so you can tell which way is up. The scale made a lot of flat bar. What do we got here? Well, there's only two that any kind of shape like that. I think that's Palawan. Don't think it's Cebu. I think it's Palawan. There's somebody's fish. That's an Oscar. Whatever kind of artwork it's for, that's an Oscar. Down here, used as a workbench, is a Chinese dragon. That's one of the panels for the gate. It's about 12 feet long and, I don't know, 7 feet tall. We're gonna have this massive gate and nothing but bushes on either side all the way around the property. It looks like a cartoon, children's cartoon. This stack here will make sense once it's separated and has frames. That is Cebu. Well, I guess it looks more like this. That's Cebu, because right beside it is, now I can't focus on it, Bahal. Ilo. Man, 6 months ago I could have named every little dot of an island on the whole planet, but I can't think of their names. I think there's more rooms of artwork for those. Hey, here's some. There's 3 panels there. And when they're stacked up, you really can't tell what it is. And there's 3 there. They're also stacked up to where they completely obliterate each other. And we have 1, 2, 3, 5 here. These go on the upper roof around what we're calling the fan housing. It looks like rooms, but it's really the cooling for the house. And the house needed some kind of bulk up there. It didn't look right when it was so flat. So we raised the center of the roof 2 feet to break up the monotony of it. And it was cheaper to build, by the way. It's saved money, and we think it looks nice. Other people think what they want. This is another dragon. This is a European dragon. His head down here on the bottom. I can make it out because I know what it looks like. He's got these 2 horns running up his back right here. So I know that's his head down in there. He's looking around at the Chinese dragon that's approaching him from the other gate panel. And looking on the whole mess is the Japanese dragon. He's the personnel gate on the side wall of the. It's a 3-sided opening that from the road, so you can get your car off the road. Or, of course, we don't have a car, but if we had one, we could get it off the road long enough to open the gate. I don't know if there's any more of these made up or not. There's artwork everywhere. None in there. This is a Boyette gizmo here. The center hole is the center of the outer circle. The only reason for having that arrow, there's 2 pieces of plywood here. You got an arrow down there on the back one, arrow up here in the front one. That's so that you can line those 2 arrows up, and then no matter where the holes were drilled off this way and off that way, they match up. And you put it 3 to 5 bolts, 1 for each 6 holes. You put a bolt across there. It goes through the wire mesh screen here, and that lets him put bolt the angle grinder on a piece that goes, lines up with that center bolt, and then it swings the angle grinder around to trim the render back. And then we fix that edge with concrete nails drilled and driven into the cement, and a bunch of tie wire wrapped around that to reinforce it. And it comes out pretty neat. The outside were done. I don't know what the sun is doing to the camera. You might be able to see it. Someplace around here the sun won't be shining on it. Anyway, it makes the finished edge. Of course, it gets skim coat. And that stack of ornamental iron is living level windows. There'll be 12 of them. There's 10 of them in the outside walls and 2 of them between rooms. One goes in this hole here, and one goes between the kitchen and living room. These are handrails that goes around the atrium. They're mostly lotus flowers, except this first one's a bird of paradise, and somewhere there's a frog. But there's 2 of those for each of 10 sections of the house. Nobody's supposed to be in there. There's a big fan blade runs in this thing. Take your head right off. So, I mean, it's got a 7.5 meter blade on it. So, even if it's turning fairly slow RPM, the tip speed is high. You know, if it's turning 2 RPM, you wouldn't even see the blades. Anyway, those are just to keep responsible people from falling into the fan. All the handrails around the decks, the lanais, they're 4 feet tall. And the people are barely over 5 feet, so they're not going to fall over that. You might trip and hit yourself on the chin, but that's about it. I haven't had any money to get those galvanized, and that's stopping us from putting the wiring boxes into the walls for receptacles. Money's always a problem. That's half of a French door. This is the left and the front side. So this left side here will be bolted to the door opening. And I'm not sure where it is, but there's another half to that. And it'll be hinged off of this down the center line. That way, when it folds over, it'll lay on top of it, which will obliterate the artwork. But if it was a full panel, it would get tangled up in the post of the house, the column, and it limits what we can do with the handrail. That handrail in the other room in there. How far we can set that back from the edge of the concrete. We want as wide of a passageway as we can make, because those are going to be used for storing stuff up there, those little holes that look like rooms. And we will go up there sometime, but, well, maybe not us old people, but if we hire some people to live here and work on the house with us, keep it clean, whatever, cook, they'll be going up there. Oh, that's the thing that mounts the grinder. There's a handle on the end that you pull it around with. The grinder bolts to those holes right there that's in the end of it. And there's different radius holes here that it swings from, depending on whether you're using on a big window, a small window, an inside edge, or an outside edge. Because the windows are all tapered. The diameter of the inner flange is different than the diameter of the outer flange. We have pictures by the room and by the pipe grouping. And we took them before we poured the concrete around them into those plumbing chases. So if we need to know what a pipe does, or most of the time you can tell that angle is going to be for the clean out. And the straight down one is for a sink or some kind of gray water. And the 2-inch one's where we're going to put the tubing up for the water line. We're using PEX B, the one that you can, if you kink it, you can heat it with a hot air gun, it pops right back to round. The A that comes in red and blue, once you kink that, it's done for. No fixing it. I think we could probably use that PPR. I just don't personally trust anything that you put together that way. I know you could probably wipe it down with acetone, and the temperature control is probably really accurate, but I just don't want to deal with something that's melted together like that. This pipe here, the solvent welds it melts it together, but once you put it together, you twist it back and forth and upset all the surfaces into each other. And I don't see them doing that with PPR. They're trying to get it together before it starts to get cool, I guess. Anyway, we don't use it. I have nothing against it, don't anything bad. Never heard any bad stories about it, other than some people have had it inside of a beam, and James Tanner had it underneath of a sink or behind a sink in his upstairs bedroom, the master bedroom, water running out onto the floor. He managed to get to that. He's an innovative fella and patient. He's a very patient person. Not that I'm not reasonably patient, but he's really patient. These it looks like a lot of pipe in one room, but this is the master bathroom. There's a he bathroom on this end, which is not very big. There's a she bathroom on that end. You can tell it's big because that's the toilet flange from my wife's bathroom. You can see how much floor area is around it, and in between that and the other toilet here, that's all one big shower. We're going to use temporary glass sliding doors to build the front of the shower, and slip form concrete walls on the ends. So we can make the walls reasonably thin. For us, they'll be thin, like 4 or 5 inches, probably 5. I'm resistant to change. And then master bedroom. Take a little while to get across these rooms. And all this plumbing in here, those all go out to rooms that have water. One goes to the cistern, and one goes to the septic tank, because she's going to put bathrooms on top of the septic tank, over top of the primary digester. And it's like 5 feet by 8 feet. So if you work it out right, you can get 2 toilets with a wall between them falling into that thing, which is pretty much, just flush it and it goes kaplop right underneath of it. I'm going to put the toilet flanges in. Whether she ever puts a building on it, that's another thing coming. Yeah, we got to dig on this one end over here. We need about 2 feet or 2.5 feet past the rebar that's going to anchor the wall rebar. You need room to walk to put the forms up and take them down, and to put staging when you're pouring concrete. Can't see it out there. There's a guy that's claimed half a hectare of land out there and built a house on it. There's no technical description or tax form or anything to go with that where he's claimed it. That's going to get interesting over time. Somebody's going to own a house over there. Maybe not be the guy who put it up, though. We'll see how that does. I think he was working on this last week. Yeah, he sanded the skim coaches on it. I want to use a big purpose-built sanding block on this to really make it true. I do those when I build molds for aircraft fuselages. We build a female mold, and then we sand the crap out of it with sanding blocks cut on the CNC. They're not at least bit flexible. They're solid, but by turning them, angling them to the direction you're sliding it back and forth, changes the radius. And we have like 5 different curvatures in them. They just hang on the ends of the mold while you're working. You just pick them up as you go. This is, we call it a focal point to the room. They all get ornamental ironwork, which is sort of a focal point. But this, the staircase is, it won't distract from this fancy counter that goes over here. But it's a focal point for this room if we never did the counter. And in the kitchen, the countertop, it's just so over the top. We're getting there. Head across the pantry now. The sea of stainless steel. Those are all holes in the concrete. There will be tile between them. There's a gas burner that goes in this thing here. And then there's some valves that work it. They're out over here. And there'll be a pipe down through that box down there for the gas supply. And out here somewhere in the front, we're going to have a row of valves that turns the whole burner on or off. That doesn't make any sense. These individual valves up here is for each ring of the gas burner. So there's like 3 valves for the entire burner. And once you get those set where you want, rather than having to reset them every time you're doing it, we just pick the walk up and put it on a different burner that's got a different pattern burning. And you can turn it off and, down here in the front, and it just goes out. When you turn it back on, you take your barbecue lighter and strike it off up here, and away you go again. Anyway, there's 6 burners for walks. 1, 2, and 3 big ones, and then there's 1, 2, 3 for small ones. And then up here, the one with 555 something on it, that one and this one, we bought a pretty nice stove top, a countertop stove, and we're stripping all the parts out of it and going to put it into this, valved off and everything up out here. And those are the ones that Aurora and I will probably be using. The other ones up here is if we're ever throwing any kind of a major shindig, and we have more than we can cook on the dirty kitchen, we'll come in here. But it makes heat and smell in your house, so this is just something to do kitchen. These are our sinks, 1,145 pesos. It's 9 inches deep, 26.5 inches across. This is 21.5 inches across, 8 inches deep, and same on that one. The stainless sink at Wilcon with the same water capacity was 21,150. So it's 20 times as expensive as this one right here was. I can't justify that. So we just didn't do it. I think that's pretty much all we're doing here. And I don't know if you can see how white that floor is out there. That's a 1-2-3 mix. 1 cement, 2 sand, 3 rock. And the 2 sand, 3 rock, when you put them in a jar, clear jar, and add a little water and roll it around, then look, all those odd-sized pebbles and stuff that's in the sand fill up those holes in the rock, and the sand really fills the rest. It makes a really solid bunch of rock. But that works out. We've used that mix on the whole damn house. I don't know how much weaker we could have gone and got away with feeling good about it, but yeah, it worked. And as long as you're not changing up, everybody's happy. Kawasaki's out there somewhere, way out in the distance. Okay. Oh. Snuck up on Boyette. He's our concrete finisher. And today he's our skim coater. He's the one that skim coated the helical stairs. And it's all freeform. And of course it wasn't as smooth as it is right now. It was cast as straight lines. He rounded all that off with a couple pieces of half-inch PVC pipe wrapped around the outside to guide it, like they use fishing line on everything else. But he's so good with fishing line that he just walked right through that. The idea was we were going to do the overhead beam, or roof overhangs and overhead beams, and then the guy that did that would do the wall, so he wouldn't be working over his head forever. However, miscommunications, and I come back in a week later and all the overheads was done and the beam, and now we have to go back and do the walls. Okay, that's going to be the end of this. If you learned anything, thumbs up. Doesn't make any difference, but at least it shows you watched. If you didn't like something, you know, you can give us a thumbs down. Won't hurt us. We're not monetary. We're a content channel. And you can subscribe. Right now we're putting out videos pretty regular, so if you just check every once in a while, you'll catch them. But if you want to subscribe, you can. Again, we're not a monetary channel. I don't think we'll ever be a monetary channel. We only get like 4 views to a video. So, but if you want to, it'd be nice. Please let us know somebody appreciated it. We're going to be doing probably a 3-video series on how to build a boat. We're going to show 3 or 4 different kinds of hull designs and what we considered before we decided to build a boat. And we're going to do stitching glue, so we'll show you how to shape the pieces of paneling that you put together with the stitches to make the boat. It's a self-defining shape by putting the edges of the pieces together. There's no big wooden frame inside these boats, and they're very strong. And they're really light. They're absolutely light. You can use pretty much any kind of plywood as long as it's thin. You could use heavy plywood, it just doesn't do anything but add weight. Okay, so that's all for now. We're going to try to pause this thing so I can shut it off.